you do so many things. I mean, acting, directing, teaching, and being an artist, an actress, a singer. Which one do you float to?
Which one do I? Okay. So which one feeds my soul? I'm an actor, like through and through. Yeah. I mean, look, as much as I was just having this conversation with my therapist actually the other day, because it's hard in this time. Like, I'm going to be straight up here, as I always am. You know that, and now your viewers and listeners will know that. I have been an actor my whole life. Like, from the time I was 5, I was studying acting, singing, piano. Like, I've wanted to be an entertainer my entire life. So that's sort of my whole trajectory. That, like, in school, I did all the school plays. I studied piano for a bunch of years. I took singing lessons for a ton of years.
And that voice.
Yeah. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Oh my God, I have to interject here just because you said singing, and it took me, I was listening to that song, the swimming song. Oh my God, I was listening, I heard it twice. And the first time I listened to it, I went, my God, what an amazing voice. I want to go see you perform, whether a Broadway or a cabaret or something, and see your whole show, that voice. And then I listened to the song again today, and it's about drowning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So it was this contradiction, this beautiful voice talking about drowning.
It is. It's actually the based on a true story of, it's interesting. It's this, if I in 2010, I was super fortunate. I've done a lot of work in the UK.
Yeah.
I've actually done 2 musicals in the UK, both toured. One of them was that one, is a musical called Raspberry, which is Cockney slang. The word raspberry is Cockney slang for raspberry ripple. But do you know anything about Cockney slang?
Not much.
So Cockney slang is like, they make up these words or expressions, right, that mean something else.
Now, I think I know what raspberry means.
Do you know what it means?
Is that a fart?
No. That's us. That's an American raspberry.
Oh, okay.
Like Archie Bunker. That's a raspberry in
Right.
America, right? American, but in the UK, raspberry is short for raspberry ripple, and raspberry ripple is Cockney slang for cripple.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a whole language. So, like, you'll hear a lot of people in England, especially in Southern England, where there's a lot of Cockney folks, like, they'll speak in Cockney rhyming slang. It's all rhyming slang.
Wow.
So they'll say these things, and like, everybody knows exactly what it's 2 or 3 words or 1 word, and they all know, and you're walking around like, what are you talking about, right? So raspberry ripple is Cockney rhyming slang for the word cripple, right? So the person who wrote this musical is a polio survivor, amazing actor and musician, and has a theater company in Liverpool. And so he wrote this musical based on this character, my character, whose name was Rita, whose nickname was Raspberry, who got polio. And that's how he got polio. He wrote all the music. So he got polio from a swimming pool because he's older than I am. So he was like in that polio era. So that's how he got polio. So that's where that song came from. Yeah. So
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, please.
I'm just listening to you, taking you in, and all about your artistry and your singing and your powerful inclusion in the arts. Have you ever written your own? Well, of course you have. You did a one-person show.
I have. I've done it. I actually have not done it in this country For real, I did it in Australia, and I did it
Was that Screw You, Jimmy Choo?
with Jimmy Choo. Yeah. Yes. It's actually had it's actually had three incarnations. The first this is my sense of humor, right? The first one, the first draft was called "Why My Ass Is Hairy."
I ask that every day
The, se-
to myself.
the second, I haven't said that in a long time. Um, the second was called "Mooning 34th Street," which I actually did one day when I fell and, you know, when my dress fell up over my head, which it did a lot. Or doesn't do that so much anymore because now I use the scooter, so I'm not finding myself in those compromising positions as much.
Right.
And then the third draft was the Screw You Jimmy Choo, Screw You Jimmy Choo, which I did, and I premiered it in Australia at a theater festival in Australia, and then I did it a little bit at the Kennedy Center, just like a staged reading of it at the Kennedy Center, and then I did it in Liverpool in 2011, I think. Yeah. So I've been away from it for a long time. Um, there's parts of it I like and parts of it I don't like. My thing is like, I don't feel like my life is very interesting. I say that, I know. People, I don't. I only because there's so many interesting people in the world, and I'm sort of a I I don't know. I have this thing to my personality. It's like if you tell me to do something,
Right.
I'm not necessarily going to do it because you tell me it's good for me. You know, like people say to actors all the time, like, let's take Cameron Manheim, for example. Like, she's an amazing, amazing actor, but it took her forever. It took her, even though she graduated from NYU and, you know, had a great degree and was very talented, it took her forever to get to the point where people noticed her because of her weight. So people would say, you know, and they say this all the time, is you should write, you should write, you should write, you should write, you should write if you're not getting right. And so she finally wrote this one person show, Wake Up, I'm Fat. And that's how she got noticed. And so for all these years, people, you should write, you should write, you should, I'm still get it. I still get it every day. You should write, you should write, you know, and that was I wrote that under major duress because two of my dearest friends who live in LA, who I love, were like, they started a theater company. They said, we're doing a little like 10-minute play festival. Please, 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 please write something. And they basically held my feet to the fire. And so I wrote that first draft,
Yeah.
which became Mooning 34th Street, and then sort of morphed into Screw You, Jimmy Choo, because I partnered with a playwright. And so, yeah, so I did do that. And now I'm actually working on another piece that I think might be a short film, but I'm not sure yet.
Oh,
So
I like this.
I'm a kind of kicking and screaming writing person, even though I'm in the most incredibly amazing, inspiring, intimidating at the same time writing group ever. The writing group is led by Jose Rivera.
Oh.
I know.
Well,
I mean,
it is interesting how you said, I don't, I think my life is boring, or you said something like, I don't think it's interesting. And at first I went, what do you mean? Even to listening to you for the last 30 minutes, I'm going, what do you mean it's not interesting? But I understand because I'm just living my life. And
right.
people come up to me, oh my God, you have such a great life. I said, huh? I'm just.
Exactly. I mean, and you know, we shouldn't sell ourselves short because we do. We just don't, we might not have the like, look it, I'm going to be honest and say, like, I'm doing what I'm doing because this is where my heart takes me, right? I mean, it's not easy. It's not where I thought I would be at this point in my life. Like, do I want to have a career like Ali Stroker? Absolutely. But I'm sure if I talked to Ali tomorrow, she'd say, well, at this point, I wanted to be X, Y, and Z, or maybe she wouldn't. I don't
Yeah.
know. Ali is a particular person that she's laser focused.
Yeah.
I was on a panel with her last year or the year before, and somebody asked her something, and she said, look, I am not making any bones or excuses or apologies for the fact that I am ambitious, and that that's it. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and that, my whole thing, I'm laser focused on, you know. So, uh, uh, it's a so yes, our lives are interesting. Probably, I went to one of my high school reunions about 5 years ago, and it wasn't a big deal. We decided it wasn't going to be like a big deal. We didn't go and like do dinner or any of that stuff because people are over that. When you get to a certain age, it's like, I don't, but people have kids and they've got commitments and it's hard to blah, blah, blah. And then, right. So we met at like this pizza place in the town where I grew up. And it was like an afternoon thing. You come, you go, whatever. You could stay for 10 minutes. You could stay for 3 hours, whatever time you've got. But it was funny because I said to my girlfriend, it was like speed dating. Because like you saw someone that you wanted to talk to, you would go over, you stand there with your beer or your slice of pizza, you'd chat with them. And I just remember thinking, wow, there's a reason why I left here when I was 18 and I never came back, because I don't have anything in common with these people. I'd be like, oh, what are you doing? And they'd be like, oh, I got 3 kids. I work at the phone company. And I tried so hard not to like be judgmental,
Right.
about like, oh man, I'm glad I don't have it, And then they'd say, well, what are you doing? And I say, well, like at the time I was working a lot in Australia and England. And I'd be like, oh, I just got back from Australia and I was doing X, Y, and Z. And I would hear the words coming out of my mouth and be like, oh, okay. Well, like, I went home feeling pretty good. Like, oh yeah, okay, my life is okay. I don't have to be so,
Well, you know what I love about that too? I mean, I was taking it in because, once in a while I'll go through, okay, I don't have kids and I don't have a family and this and that. And then I go, yeah, but look what you have. Did you want that? What did you want? Are you going after? Yeah, I said, well, yeah, I'm going after what I want and I'm enjoying it.
Yep.
So,
No, it's very true because same thing, especially now with COVID. Like I came to New York, I came back, I left San Francisco because in some ways it's like the black hole, because it was when I was there, it was such a comfortable place to live.
Yeah.
Like you could actually, I remember I lived on, after I left my husband, I think I lived on like $800 a month, and I lived well on $800 a month. I had a nice apartment. I did stuff. I went out to eat. I didn't feel like I was scraping by.
Yeah.
But I also didn't feel like I was advancing.
Yeah.
And I'm an East Coast girl, and so my energy was starting to get really flaccid, and I was like, nope, I gotta do something to kick it up, right? So I love New York.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave here, except that I've never mind living in a shoebox or living like a college student, except now in this pandemic, because you don't come to New York to spend 10 months in your shoebox apartment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
this is the time that I know that I'm amazed though when I look back at the last, 12 months now, almost. I guess in March for me.
yeah.
But in 12 months, I'm about to hit my 200th show.
Whoa.
200th interview,
That's amazing.
So I look at that, and then I'm also working on these other projects that I've had on the back burner. So I keep going, which I'm proud of myself for.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I have never been busier than I am at this time, which is bizarre to me. And unfortunately, I'm not doing. See, this is where it gets sticky because I do like all the things that I'm doing, but the thing that feeds my soul the most, I'm not doing,
Yeah.
which is acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm auditioning and stuff, but it's very a sliver, you
Well, I
know.
mean, whether it's on stage or on TV, I mean, Law and Order, Trouble on High, Hungry, the Homecoming musical, all of these are different. God friended me. I mean, all of these, I'm reading all their credits and more. The Maids, oh my God.
My favorite, yeah.
I have that feeling. I put an exclamation. I just can imagine you in the Glass Menagerie.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I've been, you know, I feel like I feel sorry for myself a lot because, especially in this time, again, I'll be honest, being a woman of a certain age, having a disability, and frankly, being a Caucasian woman of a certain age with a disability is not it. Having a disability is good in this time. It's positive in terms of people are more apt to sort of pique. You're more apt to pique people's interest because people are looking more towards, you know, inclusion in that way more than ever, which, you know, I'm so thankful for and really honored and proud to feel like I've played a part in that.
Yeah.
Uh but it's hard. It is a hard and humble pill to swallow. And I know that this is something that everybody from every generation, from any marginalized group, has faced too. It's a hard pill to swallow, knowing that you are likely not going to be on the receiving end of all the work that you've done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That you're really paving the way for the younger generation.
Yes. Yes, and I still think of, I forgot, I'm blanking on the actress's name. She started in her 60s and she got an, after 3 years on, I can't remember, Listeria Street. What's that TV show? And she got an Emmy. I have to look it up. Hold on.
And she started in her 60s?
What?
She started in her
She
60s?
started in her 60s and got an Emmy. But Desperate Housewives.
Who?
She was on Desperate Housewives and she got an Emmy in her 60s. Okay, everybody's shouting when they're watching this, they're shouting her name at us.
And I don't know who it is, and I should.
And I should. I mean, I see her face. I'm so good with faces. Okay, come on, here we go. Desperate, going on IMDb.
We love and hate IMDb at the same time.
Right. Okay, I'm going down mountain when she comes. Catherine Justin.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, yes. I'm in that weird like persona non grata 40 to 60 range, you know, of women. So Eileen Gruber and I talk about this all the time, which
Right.
Eileen Gruber, I get mad at her though, because I'm like, Eileen, you don't need to, you're working. Stop, you know.
Well, I mean, there's so many stunning, I mean, she's a wonderful actress. You're an incredible actress. It's interesting how, you know, I was having a conversation the other day with so many really, really talented people only get so far. But
Yeah.
I hate the word, well, sometimes I hate the word, but, and the thing is, you don't know. It still can pop open. As long as we're here.
And that is the reasoning behind, if it's really it's what I tell my students and what I say when I'm public speaking. Like, people say, well, you know, it's such a hard life. It's a hard life. Yes, it's a hard life, but you'll know if it's for you, you know, and if it's really for you. It's not a measure of your talent. Like, you could be super talented and just decide, like, I have a friend of mine. Well, I could say her name. It doesn't matter. Nick's wife, Nick Novicki's wife, Teal Sperling, is an amazing actor. She's
Yes.
amazing. And she just was like, you know what? It's not for me, man. The life is not for me. She's got into development and she loves it. And so, like, I applaud people who find their way into something else and they're like, oh, yeah, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know?
When you said it's a hard life, I started thinking it's a hard not life
Yep,
for us.
it is. It totally, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why. Yeah, I mean, it is a hard look at Jerry. I mean, Jerry's story though is such an unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's such a and it makes me. I think about Jerry a lot, and I think of all the sort of like weird spikes that we've had in the disability community. If you look at like Harold Russell in 1946, like you could go, oh, okay, so now things are going to change. Nope. And then we had to wait another 30 years. And then Marley, oh, so now things are going to change. Nope. And then, and then Jerry's sort of in that same pocket where Marley was in that same time period. And right when we think that that person is going to facilitate the change or be on the crest of the wave of change, it doesn't happen. So
And
now it's
yeah,
great that we're really starting to see the change happen.
yeah.
Like people like Jerry and Marley and were aberrations, I think. They and for some, because they were so talented or it was the right time or they were in the right place in the right time with the right material, they were able to break through that.
True. And I think too, again, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we're at now, of course,
Absolutely.
with Ryan O'Connell and
Yep.
so
Yeah,
many.
for sure. No, it's that. I mean, every little bit helps, but just when you think, it's interesting how like just when you think, oh, okay, now here's where people are going to be open to it. Because look, Marley won an Oscar for an amazing performance, or look, we see Jerry on TV like every week, or
Right.
10 out of 12 episodes, or 15 out of 22 episodes, and now she's a household name and everybody knows who cousin Jerry is. So like that's not going to be a weird thing anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And sometimes too, like Marley did got her Oscar, and then there was a calm, and
Yep.
she did something else, and now she's doing the at Sundance Film Festival. She
Yeah.
has her film out.
And it just won like 3 of the major awards. I think it won. I read it today, and 3 best narrative feature,
Yeah,
best director, and one other one that I can't remember, but
that's wonderful.
I'm it's exciting. It's exciting. I mean, but yeah, we all find like Jerry writing her books and
Right.
you know, still still, working.
What do
So
you
I think
want the most? What do you want the most at this moment in your life?
for myself or for my community.
Anything in life. If you say right now, I want this, the most that you want the, what do you want the most in your life at this moment?
I would I
Okay.
this is all I've ever wanted. That's why I'm laughing because it's a no-brainer for me. And maybe it's not like maybe I should have been more like Ali Stroker and more ambitious in that way. If people say like shoot for the stars and you might get a step below, but all I've ever wanted to do was be a working actor to the point where I would not have to have a quote unquote day job where even if it was going from job to job like regional theater, like I don't care, I just want to work.
Yeah.
I mean, to be totally honest with you, I just want to be able to practice my craft. I like nothing better than being in the rehearsal room. And I find it so exhilarating to to you know, it's like being a detective. You know, I often think about Jim Lipton, you know, and inside the actor studio, when he would ask those questions, those Bernard Pivot questions, we would all laugh at them. But always, you know, what would you want to do if you weren't doing this? And I feel like I I think of that and I think like, would I want to be like a detective or a, you know, I mean, or something like that. Like I am a teacher, I am a consultant, so I do a lot of other things. And but I think if I was going to leave the industry altogether, like I would probably go into like forensic science in that way. Um, Even though I was sort of groomed to be a lawyer for a long time. I have a degree in political science as well. So I kind of have that, which leads into my, you know, my public service work with the unions and
Which
all that.
leads into your acting, which leads into your whole life.
It's a big messy yarn ball. But yeah, I think being a working actor, getting a weekly pit, like it would be so amazing to be, you know, a series regular or even a recurring on a TV show. But actually, I love TV and film, but a theater is really where my heart is. Like my heart, the kernel of my heart, this my soul is in theater. Um, but I also love film and TV. I just don't have as much, you know, when you go to graduate school, you that they don't teach you. I think they're starting to teach it now, but when I was in graduate school, they don't teach you film and TV. They don't teach you the kind that you are taught as an actor for the theater, and then you sort of figure out those skills as you
Right.
as you go along. So yeah.